Hi, welcome to the Carla Knits podcast. My name is Carla, and this is the start of my knitting podcast. So if you enjoy knitting and yarn and all things yarny, then I hope you'll stick around. Thanks for joining me today. A little bit about myself. I live in a small town in Nebraska, and it's cold outside right now. Small town Nebraska. I live with my husband and my high school age daughter and our cat Reese's. I also have two older sons, adult sons who live out of the house. When I'm not knitting, which is rare because I knit all the time, when I'm not knitting, I do teach piano at our local college in our town. And I also am a church organist. So music is probably my number one passion, and knitting is definitely very, very close. So I decided I would like to try a knitting podcast. I enjoy watching them so much and learning from other people and seeing new patterns and new designers, new yarns. So I thought I would try this too and maybe share some of my knitting and knitting adventures with you all. So I guess I'll tell you a little bit maybe about my fiber story or my crafty story. I have loved crafts of all kinds since I was a kid. I remember doing hot pads on looms, which probably a lot of you remember, with the stretchy loom, or the stretchy bands that you put on the loom. I remember making hot pads. I remember learning to crochet, and I say learning to crochet, I learned to chain crochet when I was very young, probably 5, 6, 7, from my great aunt Sylvia. And I was so excited. This was back in the 70s, and I had this, what I thought was a beautiful skein of variegated yarn, very 70s colors, white, green, and brown. And I crocheted a chain, and I crocheted a very, very, very long chain. And my sweet Aunt Sylvia, she wanted to encourage my craftiness and my love of doing this chain. So she took that chain and she put it on a pillow. She put it on a brown velvet pillow, and she started in the center and she swirled it around into a large circle medallion, I guess, on the cover of this pillow. So I had this beautiful creation that I had helped make. So that's a really special memory I have of my aunt and crocheting. Other crafts I tried latch hooking as a kid. When I was a teenager, I got really into cross stitching, and I loved cross stitch for a long time. And the crocheting didn't come back around too much until later teen years or early 20s. I remember trying to teach myself to crochet again. And at that time, I was newly married, and I was sitting on the couch next to my husband, and I was trying to crochet with fabric. So it was a big, probably Q size hook, and fabric baskets were really in then. And so I remember trying so hard to crochet with, some cotton fabric to crochet a basket, and I got so frustrated. And my husband and I both have such vivid memories of me just chucking that big crochet hook across the living room and into the kitchen, where it clattered across the kitchen floor. So crocheting kind of had to take a step back from that because it made me so mad. But I was always so drawn to beautiful yarns, just beautiful yarns. So fast forward many years, and when I had my last child, which was my daughter, she was in dance, and she was going to be in a dance outside in December in a Christmas parade. And they had cute little red sweatshirts and they were told they needed to have a black hat of some kind. I thought, okay, I want to make something. So it's not just a regular black hat. I just want to make something. So I decided to try crocheting again. So I found some black yarn, probably just like a red heart yarn. And then I had some black fun fur yarn. And I crocheted her a ponytail hat. And maybe some of you have seen these. So a ponytail hat, so her ponytail could stick out the back, and it had little curly cues coming down the back, and then I edged it with fun fur, and I thought it was really cute. I'm sure now as a teenager she would think it was pretty horrible, but at the time she loved it and I loved it, and from then on I was hooked. I was hooked on crochet, and I had and have a very good friend who is also a church organist, and she was a big time crocheter. And so she really helped me get started into crocheting. I wanted to make a baby blanket for somebody, and she had gifted me a baby blanket for my daughter. And so I thought, I want to try that pattern too. And it was a filet crochet heart afghan. And so she kind of guided me through that, and I absolutely loved it. So from the time my daughter was probably 4 years old, I have been crocheting, and she's 16 now. And I got really good, at least I thought I got really good at crocheting. I'm a crocheter. And people ask me, do you knit? I'm like, no, I crochet. I don't think I can knit. I don't think I can do it. Well, a yarn store opened in my town, and the friend who taught me to crochet started getting a little bit into knitting. She's like, oh, you can do this. You could do this. And I was like, I don't know if I can. And she kept saying, you can try. So I did. I tried to teach myself to knit. I thought, okay, I'm going to go to the library. And at the library, I found a kid's knitting book, like how to knit for kids. And I thought, okay, this should be really self-explanatory. I can probably do this. So I learned to do the knit stitch. And then when it came to the purl stitch, I guess I was still knitting. And so it was not right. And I got very frustrated, but I was determined to keep at it. So with the help of that book and with the help of my friend, I learned to knit and purl. And so I made some dishcloths. And I was like, I really think I like this knitting. You know, it's a little hard, but I think I really like it. And then at the yarn store that opened in my town, they were going to host a knit along of an afghan, a 12 square afghan. And I have the book that we used. It's called Building Blocks by Michelle Hunter of Knit Purl Hunter. And I thought, okay, this is great. We're going to do like 1 square a week or 1 square a month, 2 squares a month, whatever it was, but 12 different squares. And I thought, well, this would be perfect to learn different techniques. And so I did. I persevered, and I made, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but I made my first afghan, my first knitted afghan. And if you look closely, it's pilled. It has been well loved, but I was so proud of this creation. And this was just a great project. See bobbles there? Because every square had you learning different techniques. I got cables in here, twisted stitches. So a little bit of lace down there. So this was a great project to learn knitting, and I really attribute this project to a lot of my knitting success, because I learned so many knitting stitches and knitting terms and techniques in this one project. So that that is a well-loved project. And after that, I was absolutely in love with yarn. And having a yarn store in my town, you know, I had only used yarn before, you know, sparingly, like from Walmart, or if you know, if I got to go to the bigger city, it was from Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but the yarn store, seeing all of the different beautiful yarns made of different fibers, made of natural fibers, was amazing. And so I absolutely fell in love with knitting. Fast forward to now. I'm starting this podcast to share this love of knitting with you. So I will share what I'm wearing first, and then we'll go into some finished objects and some works in progress. Probably some of you can recognize this pattern. A lot of people have knit it. This is The Weekender by Andrea Mowry. I knit this fall of 2020. It had been in my queue for a long time to knit it, and I really wanted to knit it, so I finally said, okay, let's try this. So I knit it this fall, and it is my favorite sweater that I have made. Favorite because I wear it the most. It's the easiest to wear. I made it in Cascade 220 Superwash in the Myrtle Heather colorway. The one thing that I don't like about the sweater is that it pills a lot. And I don't know why it pills so much. It started pilling almost immediately after wearing it. So I have used a gleaner on it, and I'm wondering if a merino wool would be better for the sweater. I guess I'm just not really sure. I have knit other sweaters in merino, 100% merino or 75-25, and they don't seem to pill as bad. So I don't know if that's why, because this was 100% superwash wool. Anyways, I absolutely love this sweater. It's really easy to wear. Throw it on with a pair of jeans, and it's super comfy and cozy for the winter. I absolutely love it. So I definitely would make this project again, and I'm kind of searching out what other kinds of worsted weight yarns I might want to use to make this sweater again. All right, on to some finished objects. I'm going to share some finished objects that I have finished in 2021. I'll share some of those with you. So the first thing I would like to share, let's see, back here is my Advent calendar cowl that I knit using an yarn Advent calendar from Cornbread and Honey. So an Advent calendar this one actually came with 25 mini skeins. So I got to open a mini skein of yarn each day, December 1 through 25 in December. And Cornbread and Honey designed this as a fade. And so I used this calendar to make the Advent Mini Trio Cowl by Cozy Up Knits. That pattern comes with a cowl and a hat and fingerless mitts specifically using an Advent calendar. And I used my mini skeins to make the cowl. So I will show you here. I love the colors. It actually started with this darker color. So it's a dark blue, and there's pinks and purple tones, and then flipping around, more pinks, and then it turns into this kind of corally pinks with some hints of yellow and peaches in it. And it's pretty big. You can see this. I think it blocked bigger than was intended. I believe it was maybe intended just to wrap around your neck twice, but I can actually wrap it around my neck 3 times. I won't do it right now because it's pretty squishy. But I really love this because I do love wearing my cowls kind of drapey like this. But when I go outside in the winter, if it's really cold, then I can wrap it a third time so it's squishier around my neck and it keeps me nice and warm. So I really loved this pattern and yarn. The Cowl pattern alternates between this, I think they called it a spray pattern, and then it was just knitting and garter rows. So very easy but fun to switch between the two patterns, and then fun to marl the yarns. So actually what you did, you took day 1's color and day 2's color and you held those together, and then the next day you drop the first color and add the new color. So you were marling those mini skeins throughout, and I think it turned out really, really nice. I'm really happy with how this project turned out. I will fold that up and set that aside right now. I think that was all I wanted to say about that project, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed that. So I do recommend that pattern. It was a lot of fun. And even if you have just random mini skeins, you could create such a fun marled effect for this cowl. The second finished object I want to show you are my socks. These are the Evergreen Socks. I don't know if you can see the tree on there. And I do have 2 socks here. I love knitting socks. And I have always wanted to knit this evergreen tree pattern, but I hadn't knit it. And then the Do So Knits podcast, she is hosting a knit along or a make along to make something that you've always wanted to make, but for one reason or not, you just haven't. So I decided, okay, this is the time. I'm going to make those evergreen socks. And the yarn I used is by Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks in the blue spruce colorway. So how perfect for evergreen tree socks. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but it has some lovely silver stellina in it too, and it's just a pretty sprucey green color with some darker blues, some blips of golds in there. It's just a really, really beautiful yarn. So I knit my socks. This looks a little baggy on here, but I actually have pretty big feet. I knit my cuffs on a US 1, and then I switched to a 1.5 for the rest of the body of the sock. And I am a woman's US size 10, so it takes me a while to knit a sock and a pair of socks, quite a while to knit that. So I'm really happy with how they turned out. Yeah. My evergreen socks. Let's see, the last finished object. So these are things I finished in 2021. The last finished object I want to show you is my sister's favorite thing shawl. This is a pattern by Cozy Up Knits. This was a mystery knit along. This was their fourth annual knit along that they hosted. And you got a clue each Friday in the month of January to make this to make this shawl. And here is mine. I've got it hanging on a shirt here. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'll take it off and hold it up a little more. This was made using 2 skeins of DK weight yarn and a mohair. You also had the option of using the DK or a fingering weight. Let me go ahead and take this off. I was very excited. I wanted to use yarn from my stash. Said I'm gonna try to use a lot of yarn from stash in 2021. Well, I did use yarn from stash, which is good, but I have bought yarn in 2021. So here is my finished shawl. And I hope you can see some of the detail of the stitches. The border, the top border, is a cable border. It started with a cable cast on in the center. And so I worked this cable border, which is beautiful. I loved it. And then started with this feather and fan section. And then there were some short rows and some just straight knitting in the black mohair, then some stripes. And then in this section here, they had what is called the button stitch. And that was super fun. So if you look closely, you can see some of those little, they almost look like baubles, little pops up there. That's the button stitch. And then this mohair section, the pattern in here is just lovely. I don't know if this was called the knot stitch. I love the way it turned out. I love the way it looked, but it was hard. It was hard knitting just singly with mohair by itself. But I'm very happy with how it turned out. Then some more striping, and then I guess an echo of the feather and fan motif at the bottom, and then bound off with the mohair. And I really, really love how it turned out. So I have not worn it yet. This just got finished this week, but I will probably wear it over a black top, or if I could find like a solid fuchsia color, that would be great. The yarn for this, the black mohair, is by Tofino Knit Co. And the speckled white, black, and pink fuchsia speckled yarn is a Miss Babs Yowza. So it was one large skein of DK. I think it had 560 yards. And that was in the colorway BFF. The black mohair I had gotten last year in 2020. The speckled yarn I have had for several years. I don't remember where I got it. So I was excited to finally use it in a project. I'm happy to say I used it. I used my stash to make this shawl. So I absolutely love how it turned out, and I probably will definitely want to try their knit along again. So that was by Cozy Up Knits, and it's called My Sister's Favorite Things Shawl. All right, so on to works in progress. So my first work in progress is in this cute little snowman bag that I got several years ago from Molly Klein Design, and it's a perfect little sock size. I'm not ready to give up my winter or Christmas bags yet, so I'm really excited to be using this. And I'm working on a pair of socks. I'm going to remove my Evergreen Socks from the blockers. These socks that I am working on are called the Lights on Main. That's the pattern name by Hygge Canyon. This pattern came in the other advent calendar that I purchased in 2020 by Stress Knits Yarn. So this pattern was part of the advent calendar box, the Lights on Main. And so I have a first sock done, and I have a lot of markers marking my rows on here. I'm just gonna slip this on, try, and hopefully you'll be able to see this. Gotta arrange those little stitch markers. So this is the Lights on Main. This is the first sock. I guess I'll show this side without all the stitch markers. And it's got a sweet little pattern. After the cuff, it's almost got like the top of a string of lights, and then all of these little slip stitch details are like lights. This yarn I also used from stash. I got this yarn several years ago. This was purchased at a shop in Omaha, Nebraska. The yarn is by, let's see, it's Sun Soaked Yarns. That's the yarn dyer. And the colorway is called Pop Music. And it's kind of a light lavendery, light lavendery purpley color. And it's got beautiful specks of grays and deeper purples and some tiny blips of this green color in here too. And it's got beautiful gold stellina. I don't know if you're going to be able to see the stellina on there, but the yarn is absolutely perfect. And with that gold stellina in there, I thought that was perfect for the pattern, the Lights on Maine. So it came with this coordinating green mini. So I did the cuff. I think I did 12 rounds, and then I knit the leg, and then it's an Eye of Partridge heel, and then continued down and did the toe in the same color as the cuff. So that is one sock. That is one sock done. Works in progress. I am knitting on my second sock, and I have the leg done, and I have part of the foot done. So I believe I have, it's a 10-row pattern repeat for the lights on Maine, the pattern down the leg. And so I believe I have 4 more repeats of that pattern, and then I can start the toe on that. So it's definitely coming along. Normally I don't like to have more than 1 pair of socks on the go, but I was really excited in December with some different patterns, and then January with the Evergreen Socks. So I actually cast on 3 different socks, I think, in the month of December. So I'm almost done with this one, close. So hopefully within the next week I can finish this up. I really love knitting socks. My husband recently saw me open my sock drawer in our bedroom. I guess he's just not seen me open my sock drawer before. And he said, "Oh my gosh, you have so many socks." I love to knit socks. So they are absolutely my most worn knitwear item that I have are my socks. So that's a work in progress that I hope to maybe be done within a week or so. All right, setting that aside, I will move on to another work in progress. This is in this cute bag, Bags by Awesome Granny, excuse me. And I love this bag. It's just so fun and cheerful. It just makes me happy. I love this bag. Cute polka dots inside, and in this bag I have my Knit Words sweater, and hopefully I'll be able to show this okay. I just split for the sleeves yesterday. This is a pattern by Corey Eichelberger of iRock Knits, and when I saw this pattern come out earlier this fall, I just fell in love. So I hope that you are able to see the words, knit, purl, yarn. Just a fun sweater. So I just think this will be so much fun to have. I am using US 6 for the body. I did go up to a US 7 for the color work. I'm trying with my color work. I have knit some other color work sweaters, and I think I learn each time a little bit more. So I'm trying. This is the first time I've gone up a needle size for the color work. So I'm hoping that will help with when I block it, that section won't be so pulled in, that it'll lay a little smoother and a little nicer. But so on a US 6, US 7 for the color work. This is a top-down sweater. I just split for the sleeves yesterday, and I have 17 inches of stockinette in the round to work on. So lots of good, mindless, fun knitting, good TV knitting, just knitting in the round. I am using yarn that she used in one of her samples. This is brown sheep yarn in the Nature Spun Sport. It's a very woolly wool. I used the same colors, I believe, that she used in her sample. I just saw that reddish, that burgundyish, and I just fell in love with it. So, and the rest of the colors you can find on my project page on Ravelry. And I haven't told you where to find me. I am cbcraftygirl on Ravelry. So if you're interested in looking at my project page, that would give you all of the different colorways. But they're all brown sheep Nature Spun Sport. And brown sheep is special because that is a yarn company in Nebraska. So I live in more towards eastern side of Nebraska, and the brown sheep company is in western Nebraska. And I actually got to take a tour of that factory. There was a yarn, I don't want to say convention, not a yarn convention, whatever, a yarn retreat. I guess that's what it was, several years ago, a yarn retreat out west in Nebraska. And part of that retreat, you could tour the brown sheep factory. So that was wonderful. I have wonderful memories of that trip and of that place, the people, the family that owns it. Absolutely wonderful. So it was a delight to tour their factory, and it's a delight to work with the brown sheep yarn. So I started this sweater sometime in the fall, and I set it aside with Advent knitting and sock knitting, because I got a little crazy with casting on socks. But I would like to really get a lot of progress on this. And I don't know if possible, but I would like to get at least the body done by the end of February. So we'll see. I don't know, maybe. If I'm really good and don't cast anything more on, but who knows if that'll happen. So that is my Knit Words sweater. The last work in progress that I want to show you today is living in this bag by Ginger Root Bags on Etsy. And I love this bag. I love the size of this bag. I love the print, the inside. I feel like I have fuzz in my mouth now, which I probably do. It's got this beautiful cork. It looks like cork with gold embossing on it for the handle, a drawstring. I love this bag. But living in this project bag is my other Advent project. So I had gotten 2 Advent calendars, first by Cornbread and Honey, and then the second one was by Stress Knits Yarn. And I am using the Stress Knits Yarn calendar to make the Habitation Throw by Helen Stewart. And her pattern was designed for 24 10-gram minis. And the Advent calendar came with 24 20-gram minis. So I am using the full 20 grams of each colorway. And I'll see if I can show this. I am really, really close on this. So there's the bottom. And I just love Stacy's colorways, Stress Knits Yarn. And it was such a delight to open these each day. So I am on day 20 right now, and this color actually might be my favorite one that I'm working with right now. This color this 20th day was called Knit Cracker, and it's this pretty mint green, a very pretty mint green with darker green speckles and some pink speckles, very, very Christmassy feeling. But yeah, I love that mint colorway. So I am on the downward slide here. I am getting so close. I have 4 more colors to add to this blanket. So after this, I have this pretty light peachy speckled color called Arm in Arm. So it's a light peach with some beautiful speckles of browns in there, occasionally a blip of a reddish color. Day 21. Day 22 is called Meet Cute, and it's rosy pink and a dusty brown and a dusty gray blue, gray purple blue in there, really pretty. Day 23 is called Abstract, and this just looks like a beautiful watercolor of many, many different colors. So a dusty blue, just the tiniest hint of mint, a tiny hint of peach, a beautiful pinky color there, a plummy, dusty plummy color there. And then day 24, the final day, will be Dusty Plum, which is the perfect name for this. It's a gray purple. It's a beautiful dusty plum, dusty purpley colorway. And so that will be the final color on the blanket. So I have 4 more to go after this one. And I did start this blanket in December, and I did start this project on December 1. But knitting a full 20 grams of yarn each day is a lot, and I wanted to work on other projects too. So that's why it's taking me into the month of February to finish, but it's so close. And I think I realized this week, because I'm using these full 20 grams, this is like the equivalent of almost 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn. So that should take a while to knit. So I think I'm making really good progress. It's really squishy. It's on her favorite base. So the yarn is an 80-20 wool nylon, and it's really squishy, and it's going to be just nice lightweight. I think this will be a nice lap blanket for springtime, or even in the summer if the air conditioning's on. And just the color palettes just make me think of spring and some lighter colors for summer. So I'm really happy with how this is, and another one of my goals will be to finish this blanket this month. So those are my current works in progress. So I think that probably wraps it up for today. I thank you for joining me and checking my knitting podcast out. If you like this, please feel free to give me a thumbs up and or subscribe. And on Instagram and Ravelry, I am cbcraftygirl, so you can always find me on those social media platforms as well. So with that, I will say goodbye and hope to see you real soon. Take care. Happy knitting. Bye-bye.